with you, and today we're making some postcards, and I want to use the digital set that I created for my Patreon. So this is the sheet with the big images, and there's a sheet with the smaller images that you've seen in my video yesterday. So for my October videos. So today we're making something with this, and I made a sheet of paper, and that's what I'm going to be using on the background. I want to make some postcards, and I'm going to use this as the background of this just because I feel like it's going to pop, and it fits with the yellow and green around my images. These have been heavily inspired by Diane Reevely's sets, and I wanted to make my own because it's kind of fun to use your own characters instead of using some that have been made by somebody else. And just making the paper dolls and stuff was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work to make them digitally. So I'm really happy to share them with my Patreons, and if you're interested, you can get the set for from the first level of subscription. So for $2 you have access to that, plus obviously some videos, and there's a lot of stuff from the past in there as well. So lots of goodies for you to get if you're interested, and it helps obviously my channel, and because I make all of this for YouTube, but YouTube is not really, let's just say that it's not something that will that can pay a lot of bills. It's nice to create stuff here, but it's not, that wouldn't be what could possibly stop me from working. And I would love to be able to retire and do YouTube fully for everybody, but yeah, it's not a feasibility. So my Patreons really help to pay the bills and to help me create for you all, and I so appreciate every single one of them. Their name is at the end of my videos. So yeah, so I'm making a set of 5. I have none in my Etsy store right now, so that's the goal, is to put them in my Etsy store. If you've seen me make these postcards in the past, you know how I make them, but I know that there's some new subscribers, so figured I would take you for the full process of how I make them. So I recycle my cereal box, and that's the base, and then I stamp on it the postcard stamp. You don't need to have a postcard stamp, you could just handwrite your own image. That's a possibility, but I like using this. I just feel like it looks a little bit more professional. This is a stamp by Penny Black. They no longer make them on wood. However, if you go into my Amazon store, the link is down in the description. It doesn't cost you anything to order through that link. It just helps my channel again by providing a little bit of a commission, but you don't pay that extra fee. Basically, Amazon is giving me the benefit of the fact that I've advertised them. And you will find that the acrylic stamp is in there, and yeah, so if you're interested, because I always get the question on where to find that stamp, and that's where you can find it. At least that's where I found it. But as I said, I've had this for a very long time. I like the fact that it's wood because I find that it grips easier, but the other would work fine. Also, I guess you could put the acrylic, glue it on a wood base if you wanted. The other thing that I'm gonna do, because I often forget to do this, is I'm gonna put Crafting Vicky on there. That it was hand stamped by me. And it's not perfect. There's little defects and stuff, but that's part of the fun. I mean, it's handcrafted. And these can obviously be sent out, but you could also use them just for your own self as decoration and stuff, or use them in your journals as embellishments. You could frame them. You can do whatever you want with them. Just find that it's fun, and they do you can mail them out easily when there's not much on them, in the sense that the embellishments are not going to be raised up. And you will see that I glue stuff with my tape runner, but I also glue it with a glue stick. And the reason for that is so that it doesn't lift. And I try to make sure that everything stays put and nice and tight. So these are 6x4. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this piece into my 6x4. This is 8.5 by 11. So if I do it, six, I only get, it's obviously only one, but then on that side I only get 2 as well. If I go with 4, and then I still get only 2, but I get a bigger piece, I believe, at the bottom. So if I go 6 that way, and then 4 and 4, but I can still get 6 and 4, so I get 3 out of it, and then I need 2 more. So I'm gonna go 6, and then 4 and 4, and I have this paper left over, this cardstock left over to use on something else. Okay, so that's the goal. That's the first thing. I'm going to start off by doing gluing that piece down, and then I'll do the other. The other, because it's painty paper, I really wanted to optimize as much as possible. I think I've managed to make it so that I can use most of a sheet for the 5, but let's cross the fingers that it's actually gonna work and that I didn't mess up my calculation, because that happens. You saw me pull out this because I'm thinking of doing the edge with that tool, just to make it a little bit more fun. So I try to stay very close to the edge. I don't always succeed, but that's why the glue stick is so useful. And these are just glue sticks from Lepage. They're the pit glue sticks, the big ones. and I usually get them when they come on special during back to school. But I got some like some time ago, and I'm still not through using all of those. So you can see that my cuts are not perfect, but that's okay. We'll just play with it, and we can just cut the little excess that's there. It's not a big gap. Easier that way. Just a tiny little sliver. Okay, so I'm gonna do all of them, and then I'm gonna come back and do the edges. Okay, and I can put this on top. Oh shoot, I forgot to put the glue stick. And see, that's why I want to put the glue stick, because this lifts up fairly easily, and I really want to make sure that once I put this down, it's not going to lift. The glue stick will really help stick it, and will be more solid. Not initially, but eventually, yes. After it's stuck for a little bit. And it would tear like more. So put that on top, back on top. And again, just adjust the paper. The guillotine, when you take the measurement with the guillotine, it's not totally perfect either. So like if I slide it a bit, it's possible that that's part of the reason why there's a little gap. Okay, so this is second one. Let's make sure I use the glue stick before I put the green paper on top. I get into my own head at one point and just do stuff mechanically. It's part of the thing. So most of the time, all these steps I don't show to you guys because it is a long process. I figured I would showcase it, and obviously there's also the time and energy to make the painty paper. That takes a while as well. So, you know, because obviously when I sell these, I usually sell them for about $12 a pack of 5, and all that extra time is included in there, you know, that time of the creation, because these are unique. They're one of a kind, and they won't be made again, especially when I'm using my painty papers like that, the original painty paper. I'm not going to be able to recreate that at all. And even if I tried to recreate it, it would never be fully the same. So that's why they're a little bit more expensive. I still think it's a good deal to get something that's handmade and that supports an artist. If you like my work, It's a great way for you guys to have a little piece of it. And you know, of course, that there's going to be a handwritten little note that comes with it as well. So that's part of the buying something made by somebody local and not big box stores. And they would be a fun gift as well to offer to somebody. I think at least they would be. So. Okay, so I've got all of those done, and my hands get messy with the glue. After a while, I feel like my hands get all gooey. Okay, so I'm gonna close my glue just the time I do this, and then I'm gonna have to repeat the process, but with the painty paper. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and just distress the edges a bit, just to make it fun and an extra little layer. I think it just gives that extra little dimension versus the other. I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but it just makes it a little bit more interesting, and I just feel like the little rough edges, I like to feel stuff, and that you can feel it, and it just, I think it's fun. And I know my paper is very secure, so it's not going to move. It's not going to lift it up. It's just going to, you know, make it a little bit more interesting. Husband's texting me. Just have to respond before he wonders why I'm not replying. Since I'm not at the house anymore, it's harder for him to know that I'm filming. I do a lot of my editing at the studio as well, and obviously there's also all the Etsy stuff that's done here, so I'm not always in front of the camera when I'm here, clearly. Okay, so we've got all the little cards done. I'm not going to distress anything else. Let's put this aside. Take a little bit of water. He's asking me what I want for supper. That's pretty sweet, isn't it? On there. And I really want to not waste anything because, as I said, I've only got that one sheet that's this color, and I really feel like I want that color. So I figured if I did 10 inches, then that would allow me to cut these into 4 inches. No, 3.75 inches by 5. So it's going to leave a border of 1 inch, so half an inch on each side, and a little bit, yeah. So I think it's going to turn out okay. I'm hoping it's going to turn out okay. So we're going to just go for it and hope for the best, because, as I said, I'm really trying to keep as much of this paper as possible. Actually, I should, oh no, it's better off if I cut this first. So let's do 10 inches. So 10 inches. And then I'm going to cut the smallest of possible ways here, just because I obviously don't want this little line of paper. And then I said 375, so 375, and then so this one is a little bit bigger, so I can cut it just a tad so I don't have as much white on it. The edge is not as white. And then I'm going to cut it to be 5 inches. So 5 inches. So here we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this. This that's 350. It's a little bit smaller, but don't have much choice. And I'm left with this instead of having another big sheet. So I figured I would use the smallest of the images on the one that's going to be the smallest. I don't know yet which image I want to use though, so we'll have to see. So I'm going to be putting this directly like that, kind of like in the middle, and then I'll put whatever image on top. So it could be any of these, you know. It's gonna have to be on like sideways that way, because otherwise they're not gonna fit, except for this one, which would fit. But yeah, so I'm gonna start gluing these down. And that paper just doesn't want to glue properly. So I'm going to do the same thing and use my glue stick on top. And try to center it as much as possible, knowing that of course my centering is never totally centered. And so that's one background done. Okay, I'm going to put this on top of this. And you can see like it reaches more on the side, not so much on this, but it's still, I think it's going to be pretty with the images that I have planned for this. And these cards are not going to have Halloween sentiments on them. They're going to be probably snarky ones. So they could be used for any type of occasion. I don't want to put Halloween sentiments on them. I might do Halloween cards, but not this week. Because I know not everybody's celebrating Halloween. And you will see that all the month of October I'm making things that are related to Halloween, but could be also for other occasions if you're into the dark stuff and the creepy things and stuff like that. Sometimes it's fun to just create things that are different and not the typical things. So I'm really liking my background so far. Can't wait to see with the actual Can't wait to see with the actual images on top how that's going to turn out. I really hope it turns out well. Okay, so that's that. So I've got all of my images, my backgrounds. Now it's a question of using the images and deciding which one is going to make it to my card. My cards. I really love that one, so I really want to put her on there. I think she has a brilliant attitude. I think I'm going to use the cats. And I want to use the cats. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these 5 images, and I will include, since I've already printed them, I'm going to include these 2 with the set, as well as the leftover little piece of painty paper with it as well. So I'm going to have all of these. I think the one that's the smallest, the thinnest, which one is it? Pretty much all the same. I think it's this one that's a little bit more thin. I think I should use this cat on it. And the reason I left the borders is pretty much the same way as Diane has, except that mine are not die cuts. But you could, if you have a machine that does the cutting, like a Brother machine, scan and cut, you could print these out and then just run it through your Brother, and it would recognize the line and cut it for you. That's the whole. That's why it's useful to have an actual edge that way. Makes it easier to scan and cut. So it would be easy to put this on. You could put it on some sticker paper as well and do the same thing. Run it through your machine and get it to cut. Or you can do what I'm doing and just cut it around it. The edges are big enough that even if you're not totally precise, you're not going to cut your image up. So that makes it easier for you as well, that the legs have the same coloring in it. So let's say that, and then now what I don't know is if I want to do snarky or if I want to do regular sentiment. That's my big decision right now with these characters. And I feel like they could be used both ways. I can't seem to talk and cut at the same time. Okay, so we've got all 5 of them cut out. So now it's just a question of how do I want to place them and so on, and what type of sentiment do I put for these. Oh, I love them so much. I really do love them. I'm very pleased with the result of what I made. Okay, so like the marry someone who can cook. Looks fade, hunger doesn't. I like this. I'm not arguing. I'm explaining why I'm right. I think like she would totally, that would be great for her. Okay, so we're gonna go for it and just, yeah, go for this. Now I'm thinking that because I'm using black and this is black, maybe I should put it on green. Do I do that, or do I use white? Should I use the white sentiments instead? I tend to go for the black, but maybe I should go for the white instead, because I'm not too fond of adding an extra layer on top. Like adding 2 extra layers. And their dress is white, so maybe that would be best. So let's go for the white. And I hate when I cut and I put it in a bin and it goes right beside the bin. Okay, so I'm gonna take the time to actually put glue on top of the glue that's already on there. To make sure that it really doesn't move. Right there, and then I'm gonna glue her down. I'll do the same thing I did, just to really add extra layer to make sure that it doesn't move. And that's my first card of the day. I love her attitude. Like I just love her so much. So much. Okay. So this one, I like this one. To be honest, I'm just winging it. Life, motherhood, my eyeliner, everything. But at the same time, on her arm, it says, "You are so strong." And I feel like most of us, like, we do our very best. But most of the time, we're just pretty much winging it and trying our it's not easy. And you know, kids don't come with manuals, and you know, work changes and get older, and there's just a lot. I remember when I was a kid wanting to grow up so much, and when you get older, like you really want to become an adult, and you think it's going to be so much better, but as you get older, adulting just isn't what I thought it was going to be at all. And now that my kids are getting older, they're realizing as they're working that, yeah, it's what they expected and what they thought we were doing and everything. It's a lot harder than they anticipated. We're doing good, but it's more work than they thought we were doing. And keep telling them we did the best we could with what we had, and that's all you can do. Do the best, and that's it. It's easy afterwards to figure out that you could have done better or should have or would have or whatever, but yeah, that's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I love it. Love it. Okay, so then let's go for this one. I like this. There's two things I really like. I don't know where all this crap about me being a difficult person is coming from. I love that. And I also love, she said, that's a lot of money to spend on craft, and I knew we couldn't be friends. There's so many good ones. The fact that I have more clothes to sleep in than I do to go out says a lot about me as a person. That's so me. Well, you know, I don't have a choice but to have work clothes, but yeah. I like that. I admit that my weirdness is above the national average, but I'm comfortable with that. Yeah. Because she is weird. She's wearing, you know, her hair is a big rose. But I think she's feeling confident in herself, and that's all that matters. I have so much fun creating these. I hope that you can tell and you have fun watching. I have to make sure that the sentiments fit. Okay, I'm glad I went with the white. It pops on the black, and I'm not sure. I think like with the green it would have been too bulky, and it would have remove some of the fun of the cards. So glad I made the decision I made. And here's the other one. And then we've got this one. Maybe the craft one. Would be a good one with this one, and this one is difficult. The difficult person. Yeah. Because there's a lot of room, so it fits. It's going to be good to be able to put something down that's takes a little bit more room. Can't believe we're in October already. It's crazy. This year has just flown by. I feel like it's more and more, it's even more obvious as you get older. Like it just, time flies by even faster. It's because we're busy and have so much stuff to do and never can seem to get ahead of all the stuff that I would like to do. I don't know where it went that we were supposed to work 4 days a week and have, you know, more free time and stuff. Definitely not feeling like that's the case. Okay, so here we go. And here's that one. And finally, for this one, I'm going to use the craft one because I just feel like for any crafter, this is one thing. Just like books. I'm obsessed with books. But I've been good. I've been borrowing them from the library, so I've been really good this year with purchasing less or purchasing them used. I've been going to a lot of the used bookstore. Because I don't usually reread my books, so except like for some spiritual books, those I usually annotate and I take notes in, but other books than that, fiction, I don't usually reread, so it's kind of useless to purchase them. I usually just donate them after, or lend them to other, like give them to other family members and things so that they can read them and then they can pass it along to other people, so that, you know, the books don't just stay in my shelf and gather dust, which I find is really good. But but then it's kind of useless to spend a lot of money on them if I'm not keeping them. And if I can get them used, it's even better. But I got a lot from the library, so I'm quite pleased with that. It's unfortunate that there's some though that they seem to have lost. So even though I reserved them, I don't think I'll ever get to read them from there because they seem to have been lost, and some of them show as being that it was paid. The book that was lost was reimbursed, but I don't think the library purchased another copy, so it's kind of useless. I don't know why they wouldn't have just repurchased another copy, but anyway. And because I've been watching a lot of booktubers on YouTube, I have also gotten a lot of good recommendations. Therefore, my book ratings have been much higher because the books I read are typically quite good. So I'm happy on that end of things as well. Here you go. So definitely can understand spending money on books or on crafts. So those are my cards for today. I hope that you've enjoyed this super long video, that you've managed to make it all the way to the end. I would love to know if you made it all the way to the end. please do leave a little comment on that. And if you're interested in the cards, they will be found on my Etsy store. And that's it. Love you guys, and stay tuned later for the October video of the day. So love you guys. Bye.